any obstacle that comes my way, I analyze it now. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously this is showing up for a reason. This is showing up because I need to fix something or I can improve something. And I just take advantage of that, then work from there.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams come to life. Welcome to Innovation City.
Welcome to Innovation City, a podcast featuring the innovators, disruptors, and creators who are making things happen today. My name is Michael Johnson. I'm here with my co-host, Tyler Kelley. We are in Miami today. We're at the Emerge Americas Conference. So big shout out to University of Miami. We're in the University of Miami booth today. Also, another shout out to Venture Cafe Miami for making all this happen. So we are very excited today because we have Amanda Pizarro. She is the co-founder of the Salty Doughnut, and I just ate one of those delicious donuts about 3 minutes ago.
Hello.
Tearing it up. So Amanda co-founded the Salty Doughnut in 2016 with her husband, Andy Rodriguez, and she's responsible for bringing Miami its first gourmet donut shop.
Yep.
Also, South Beach Food and Wine, cooking channel Sugar Showdown, Forbes 30 under 30. I mean, the list goes on and on. But what I found interesting is that this idea came from like a course, your first marketing course at the University of Miami.
Yeah.
And here it is in real,
yeah,
in real life.
It's pretty exciting. So I was a marketing and accounting major at UM. I was actually accounting, and then I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and so I switched to marketing. And then in my marketing course, it was okay, come up with this company, a fake company, and it was actually about technology. It was one of my technology courses. So it was like, well, I kind of had an idea that I wanted to do something in food. I wanted to bring something to Miami that didn't exist, and I was like, well, I guess I could just do the Salty Doughnut. I mean, nothing really. We didn't have any data. We didn't have our business plans together, but it was pretty much helped me build the foundation of what we are today.
So why donuts? Are you like a fan of donuts? I mean, everybody's a fan of donuts,
yeah,
but,
right?
But you're
why
a
donuts?
connoisseur, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, so I was born and raised in Miami, and so was my husband, and we're very passionate about food, like on a really OCD level.
Yeah.
And so we were always traveling and seeing what other cities had to offer. So when we came back to Miami, which is our hometown, it was like, well, we're not really reinventing the wheel here. Like, we're not doing super craft donuts or even coffee or just all of these concepts that didn't exist. So it just so happened that donuts was the thing that we chose. Like, we kind of say that donuts is our passion, but like over above that is food. So eventually one day it'll probably just be like salty hospitality, where we just branch out into like different food concepts. But for now, donuts are my bread and butter.
Well, so a food question: what would be like an ideal meal for you?
An ideal meal?
Like your favorite gourmet, whatever. Like any meal? What's like your go-to?
So I have a joke because we have like an ongoing battle of what's better, pasta or rice. So I'm team rice. So it's funny. I like complicated dishes, but then I also like really just like rice with an egg. So it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. But the kind of mood I'm in now is rice with an egg mood. But I know it's very basic. But I've been to a lot of places, so it's kind of like when you experience so much, sometimes it's good to come home and just have some basic food.
So you saw that there was kind of like, this is going to sound like a pun, there was a hole in the market.
Yeah.
In Miami. So where did you pull your inspiration from to bring donuts to Miami?
Pretty much all the cities where I think a lot of the inspiration comes from. So like New York, LA, Chicago, all these cities, and even Portland, they're doing cool things. And I always like to say that it's like fashion, right? So fashion's like years ahead in Europe, and then we bring it here to the US. And that's kind of what I think about other states with Florida. So usually crazy kooky ideas happen in all these major cities, and then it trickles down to Florida for those that are willing to risk like the funky idea, and those that hit home really hit home.
So tell me about like starting the business, actually making it happen. Like, what was one of the toughest things that you had to do the last few years? Biggest challenge?
There's a lot of challenges, but I think before we actually opened, the biggest challenge for me was just, what the heck are we doing, right? So we you first get excited and come up with the logo and the image and the name, and it's all like woo, and you do a little test recipe, and then you realize like, wait, so I need money to start a business, right? And then you're like, well, I need a business plan or else nobody's going to give me money. So we developed our business plan, and we kind of approached at first just like family members, like, hey, like we want to do a donut shop, and a lot of people were confused because we were basically inventing something in Miami, right? Like, so we were the first donut shop. So at first it was kind of like, I don't get it. Like, we got a lot of pushback. But that's why I'm always like, stay true to what you believe in, because we had more than enough research to support our business plan. And then finally we got one on the hook, which just happened to be my family, so we're still family owned and operated. It's like between credit cards and families, we made it happen, and now everybody's like, I want a piece. I was like, no, because you didn't believe in it back then, so it's mine still. No, but we're family owned and operated, so that was definitely the hardest part of first initially, like, because it's pretty much a blank canvas, and you have to create everything from scratch.
And you started with a pop-up shop, is that right?
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So we had developed the idea already, and we were like, all right, we got the money, we're ready to go. And my biggest fear was, since we took 2 years to develop the concept, was someone's going to beat us to the punch, because it's only a matter of time. And then it would be like, then I would get frustrated because they'd probably do it kind of like, whatever. So I was like, we got to do this. So we signed a lease in the Wynwood Arcade, which is where we are now, and the building was severely delayed. So, about a year later of like nothing happening, like no walls going up, we're like, oh my God, we have to do something, because if not, again, like someone's going to beat us to the punch. So we had this crazy idea of getting a 1950s Aljoa camper and converting it into a donut shop on wheels. So we had rented time in a commissary kitchen, and then I was the delivery driver going back and forth delivering donuts about 5 times a day to this camper. And the camper was in a parking lot. Like, we just retrofitted like the entire thing, put some picnic tables, eventually a tent because it was so hot, and it just took off from there.
Oh, that's great. So you kind of have to just do whatever it takes
Yes.
to make it happen.
Yeah.
Like you have an obstacle and then you just have to change courses. Were there other times in your business where you had to do things like that?
Oh yeah, 100 times. And I mean, every single day is another 5 things that get added to the list. But through, when we first started the Salty, it was very frustrating because I didn't know what I was doing, right? Like I never had a business before that I started on my own. And then it was, so every obstacle that came, I was like, that's it. I'm not going to do it anymore. But I started realizing that once I pushed through those obstacles, which was where I was basically teaching myself, like I was learning so much along the way that now it sounds like cheesy and almost like unbelievable. But any obstacle that comes my way, I analyze it now. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously this is showing up for a reason. This is showing up because I need to fix something or I can improve something. And I just take advantage of that. Talk to my team, get a lot of group thinking, and then, exploit or whatever, then work from there.
That's a good insight, because I feel like, in business, a lot of times you come up against an obstacle and you think, well, I shouldn't be doing this. I can't handle this, or I'm not good enough for this part. But really, it's just to grow you because you've got levels to push through.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, some people aren't lucky enough to have a mentor, so they're really just by themselves. I mean, I have an awesome team at the Salty between our management and my husband, but a lot of times people are on their own, and that's where they're like, you know what, this was a dumb idea, and they just give up. But if I could have easily done that, because there were hundreds of times that I actually said that out loud, but now it's kind of like, woo, I got chills, because I just put out donuts here, like, to everybody, and it was like gone in seconds. And it's crazy to think 2 years ago I was sitting in my apartment like, wait, is this even a good idea? Like, what am I doing? So it just shows, like, push through, and as long as you have all the data to back up your idea, don't have a dumb idea, but just push through and believe in yourself.
And with all the success you're having, like, I'm assuming that there's people approaching you like, let's open up another shop across town, let's do this and that. Tell me about, like, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit crazy. Probably about 4 times a week someone approaches us with that, both internationally, locally, franchise, open here, open there. And that's actually been like that since day one, really, that we opened the camper and everybody saw the articles. But I've been extremely, I guess, just very cautious with what I do with the brand, because I'm so obsessed with the brand, because I do like the Instagram, the branding, the marketing, and so it's like my baby. So everything from start to finish, I would just be super scared to hand that off to someone else because I'm not the next Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm okay with that. And another thing that we kind of had to come to a conclusion with was it's also not about the money. It's about the quality and like our neighborhood, because that's what has me so excited every day, was going and seeing people, oh my god, the salty donut's here. I don't want to be like, oh, salty donut again. So we've just been very strict on like who we partner with, and so far we haven't partnered with anybody, but we actually just announced our second location, which we are fully funding ourselves, so that's super exciting, and that's a really big deal to us. And that's, I think I'm gonna worry about that second location right now before doing anything else, but we're pretty much 100% set on not franchising, because I think that there's something about just like the owner's hands being involved in some kind of level that I never want to lose touch by expanding like too big or too far or too fast.
Yeah.
Because you're afraid it might like morph into something that wasn't the original vision.
Exactly, yeah, kind of not the original vision, because my original vision, like I mentioned, is your neighborhood craft donut shop. I give you a good product, I give you an amazing experience, and all of my employees know you by your first name. And whether that's Miami or if eventually I want to go to LA, like I'm going to be very grasped in that neighborhood, not just pop it out where I think someone wants to eat a donut. And I think that's also what got us a lot of recognition, is that we don't just put out a good product, we literally care so much, from the photo that's posted on Instagram to the music that's at our shop. I literally make a playlist hour by hour of what song goes on. It's like, it's Latin hour, it's, you know, throwback hour, and I think that's what makes us really special, and I don't want to lose that by just giving it to someone else.
It's more than a donut, it's an experience.
Yeah, that's exactly what
actually,
I was
it's funny because we, you know, we're still trying to find our motto, but it's like, you know, under like the radar, it's more than a donut shop. So it's just it's like a hashtag that we had since day one, and I'm like, you know what, that should be our motto, because I think we are, like, we're kind of a lifestyle almost.
Well, that's your confirmation right there.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah.
So what's next for the Salty Donut, like in the next 3 years or 5 years? What's your vision of what the Salty Donut can do?
So, you know, like I said, we are opening the second location, and aside from that, I don't know if Miami can handle another donut shop, because like a third one, because I said like I don't want to be too everywhere. Obviously I want to be convenient to like my customers, but maybe, you know, somewhere in Broward, I don't know, and then from there possibly out of state. I always joke around that wherever I would want to live is where I would open up a donut shop, because I love like the Pacific Northwest, but that's kind of a dream, and if it happens, that'd be amazing, but I would have to go and commute there and home and there and home. But if it doesn't happen, honestly, I'm so proud to just feed my community. And I do know, like I said before, that food is my passion. So I don't think it's going to end at donuts. I don't think I'm going to ever let the salty just flop and like die, but I definitely think that it's kind of the stepping stone to other possibilities. Like, I've learned so much the last 2 years about a kitchen and employees and payroll and marketing and this and that, that it just makes sense to do something else in food.
Yeah. So what have been your biggest challenges as you grow the Salty Donut?
I think, honestly, it's just getting a really good team. It's been really challenging because we're kind of, my husband says this, it's funny, he's like, we're a startup mixed, like company mixed with like a donut shop with food and whatever, and it's hard a lot of the times for people to understand that, you know, we're not a strict, crazy, by the book kitchen, and we're not like a laid back startup. It's really a blend of both. So every single day, whenever obstacles arise, we need a management team behind us that is ready to live those obstacles with us. Like, we do not have everything together, and sometimes people want to work with for a place that's like, oh, you know, just do this and this and this every day. They don't want to work through those obstacles with us. And so it's just been kind of a hard time building that team, because I have to trust everybody, right? And that's scary, because I'm going to open a second location. I can't split myself in two, as much as I would love to. And my husband and I are usually always together. We're like one brain at this point. So it's just really scary of, you know, being able to give someone a store and be like, this is your store. It takes a lot of trust, and that's not something that you're used to, especially because I've never owned a business before. So it's like, how do I gain that relationship and gain that trust with my employees? Luckily, we have an amazing crew right now, and they're doing an awesome job, but it's just scary, like expanding to a second location. I need like double of everybody, because we started at only three employees, and now we have 40. So it's a little scary.
Yeah.
So one of the, you can't get to this level unless you have good marketing and advertising. So that's kind of also, in addition to food, one of your passions is marketing, right? So you said you did the Instagram and all those types of things. So tell me about just like how you got the word out originally.
Yeah, so I think the word kind of came about just because we were doing something super different, right? So through Instagram, it was kind of a way that all the branding just relates back to what is photogenic, right? So at this point, we pretty much haven't spent a penny at marketing. I don't post ads. I don't do any of that because my customer does that for me. But it's so natural. Like, I'm not like forcing it, like take a photo of this and do this, because people want to post it, and then they're helping me out in the end. But that's why I love feeding the community, because it's kind of easy, actually, marketing. A lot of people like don't understand, but it's just give your customers what they want. They want something fun. They want something that's tasty, and that's what we did. And it's just a no-brainer of then they photograph it and they post it, and then and we're just always constantly involving our customer and being very like human, because a lot of companies are just like they plan their posts and all this stuff, and I actually don't do that because I feel like it's very not natural when my whole feed is color coded. It's just like, okay, relax, because that's not real life. People want to see what's real.
Has there been a moment like something like that, whether it's, well, I would say not through your own marketing, but some idea kind of got traction and gave you momentum? Has there been an unexpected thing that just kind of built crazy momentum for you like that?
In the salty donut?
Yeah.
For like a donut idea?
Or maybe just like in social, in Instagram, or
like
in
somebody,
the store, like the
somebody
customer
took a
experience.
picture, or
Something that
word
just
got out
went
about
viral.
something.
I don't know. Well, actually, a funny side note, something that I accidentally did when we first opened. So we were messing around with like these pipettes, right? So they're like a little shooter, I guess you could say, like a little test tube. And we were originally putting it in a donut. And then I was taking photos because I was the one that originally took all the photos for the salty. And then I was like, oh, look how cute. I stuck it in the donut hole.
Yeah.
And I took a photo of it like on my hand. And then I posted it like, because that was only the test phase. Like, we weren't even a real company at that point. And people went nuts over it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I just created something, and it's a spiked donut hole. So from there, like, our spiked donut holes are still super popular. So it's basically a tiny little like munchkin donut hole with a pipette in it. And it all came from like an accident. And a lot of the stuff like that, like, again, going back to super organic, has happened like that too. Like last year in July, I had posted, because my husband's family, so they have a mango tree, and all the mangoes were falling, and they were like, I can't do anything with these mangoes. So I was like, oh, let's make a donut out of it. And I was like, I wonder how many people throw away mangoes every year in Miami, that they just go rotten. So then I posted on the story just randomly like, oh, if you bring me 4 mangoes, I'll give you a donut for free. And then it ended up being this weird like mango swap, and we ran it for a week. We got so many mangoes that our staff was like, please, no more mangoes. We were peeling them and going nuts, and then we created a donut out of it. And that was kind of just a random spur of the moment, like, hey, yeah, why not? And people really appreciated that. So I love when things kind of pop up like that organically. That's just like kooky idea, and then it's just received really well.
That's great. So if let's say I've got an idea for a brand, or maybe it's food related, maybe it's not, but you seem to be a pretty passionate person about food in general, but how does someone get started in what you're doing?
So I would say start with like the fun stuff, because that'll keep you motivated. So you're the name and the logo and all of that. And then, well, even before that, start to see what's missing in your industry. So I just said, what's missing in Miami? I'm going to give it to Miami. Then came the brand, and then the logo, whatever. And then from there, before building a business plan, I had to gather as much information as possible, because I didn't know if selling a donut was going to be profitable at all, or even like a business that could work in Miami. So that's when I traveled to all the major cities, and I sat at all the donut shops and I researched, because you can't just Google like donut shop information, how to open a donut shop. It doesn't exist. So I would say, unrelated to donuts, gather information as much as you can, even if it's not, like, let's say you wanted to open something specific to Miami that doesn't exist. Who cares if your research is not in Miami? At least you have something to base your like idea off of. And then from there, business plan, there's actually a cool website that helps you build a business plan by just typing some information in it, which is what we used, because then it ended up being a 60-pager. Obviously, get money, but between all of that, I think a lot of discipline, right? So a lot of people just go quick to like, I want to be an entrepreneur, and so I'm just going to launch this business, but they don't have their whole branding. Who are you serving? What are you serving? What is your price point? Or if you're not a good, like something else, because if you look at what our logo first looked like when we started, it was ugly, and our ideas were really bad and just really not polished. And I think because we just spent so much time revisiting it, are we in love with it? Because if we're not in love with it, a customer's not going to be in love with it. And just from there, just discipline from start to finish what my brand is. Because even before we launched, building that brand from start to finish, I'm able to answer every single question that anybody would ask me, even without being open. So it's like, I know my brand like the back of my hand. Yeah. What would I do in this situation, that situation, anything? Because I have it from start to finish, not just like, oh, I just popped it out of nowhere.
Yeah. So is there a big lesson you feel like you've had to learn that if I was that an entrepreneur, you'd want them to avoid this big pitfall like that you've learned from your process?
I get it's tough because my motto is like I kind of like the pitfalls because that's what taught me a lot of things. But honestly, I guess then I would reverse it. That don't give up when the pitfalls come, right? Because I think I've noticed that in a couple people when the going gets tough, they just go, they just leave, they quit. And I didn't do that, but I would definitely recommend someone not to do that as well. Also, I think like don't be so hard on yourself, because something that I have a lot of regrets too though at the Salty, don't get me wrong, but all of those regrets are a learning experience. So I think, I don't know, I haven't had something that, like a pitfall of that I regret, I guess, because it just, everything is like, I guess because now when I look back a year later, I'm like, whoa, thank goodness that happened, because it's better off now. So
for the education and the experience.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, Amanda, this has been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for introducing us to the Salty. Where can people find you physically and then online?
Yeah, so our Instagram is at The Salty Doughnut, and it's Doughnut, D-O-N-U-T, so Doughnut. And we are located in Wynwood in Miami, and then our second location is going to be in South Miami, so I'm super excited about that. And as far as online, pretty much all of our merch is online. Our merch is super huge. It's just gotten like crazy, so I love when people like rep us from different states, but yeah.
So
awesome.
Buy some merch.
Yeah, buy some merch, rep us wherever you're from.
Amanda, thank you. This has been fun.
Thank you so much.
For more episodes, visit innovationcity.co. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. And if you're in Miami, visit us on Thursday nights. Details are at venturecafemiami.org. And be sure to connect with us on social at We Are Slam and at Venture Cafe MIA. Thanks for listening.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams